Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you could get a second chance with, like the one that got away?
Ooh,
That's what we're talking about
I
today.
like that.
We're going to be diving into a contemporary romance novel, and it's going to make you think about all your past loves.
Ooh, exciting.
So if you like these kinds of stories that really tug at your heartstrings, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to be cracking open Best Man Speaking by
Uh,
Jessie Elizabeth.
oh, good one.
You can find a link in the description if you want to pick up a copy.
Yes.
And let me tell you, this is a wild ride.
Yeah.
We've got childhood sweethearts reuniting at a wedding.
Always a good start.
Hilarious. No compact contracts and a whole lot of emotional baggage.
Sounds messy.
This is not your typical happily ever after story.
I love that. What I find so interesting about this book is that it takes something familiar like a wedding and uses it to explore these deeper themes like grief and family dynamics.
Right.
And even the meaning of home. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
So it really makes you think, how does our past shape who we are and what we really value in life?
Totally. Okay, so before we get into all the juicy details,
Yeah.
let's meet our main characters. We've got Hallie, our leading lady. She's witty, she's independent, and she's definitely carrying the weight of her past heartbreak with Marcus.
Right.
So we see her navigating all these unresolved feelings, trying to figure out, has she moved on, or is there still a spark there?
Yeah, I think Hallie's journey is especially compelling because she's built a new life for herself.
Yeah.
She's in Edinburgh,
Right.
far away from all those memories with Marcus.
Trying to escape.
Yeah, and I think that physical distance really highlights that internal conflict she's dealing with.
Right.
Is she running away from her past, or is she genuinely creating a new future for herself?
Right. Then we have Marcus.
Right.
He initially comes across as very charming and successful, maybe even a little bit of a player. But as the story goes on, we start to see a more vulnerable side to him, especially through his work with this charity that supports young people. Yeah, he seems to be trying to make up for something.
Right. It's like there's this tension between the Marcus of the past and the man he wants to be now.
Totally. And can Hallie see past those mistakes and recognize the person he is now?
Right.
Or is their history just too much to overcome?
Right. All right, so we've got Hallie, we've got Marcus.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this wedding, because it's not just any wedding.
What is it?
This is Hallie's best friend's wedding.
Oh, no.
And guess who the best man is?
Marcus.
Marcus Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it.
Not at all. And to make matters even more interesting, the bride and groom, Erica and Julian,
Right.
they create this hilarious M+H treaty to make sure that Hallie and Marcus don't completely implode and ruin their big day.
Okay, I love this treaty.
It's so good.
It's amazing. So tell me about these rules because they're gold.
Okay, so we've got no ignoring each other,
Yeah.
no egregious blackmail.
What does that even mean?
Exactly right. Like,
Yeah.
where do you even draw the line? And my personal favorite is Erica's very specific addition.
Yeah,
No bleep on tables or otherwise.
they know these two.
They know their history.
They know.
Right. It's just so funny. But I think the treaty, it's a clever way to, acknowledge that there's this big elephant in the room.
Totally.
But it also kind of adds some humor to this really emotionally charged situation.
Right, and it forces them together.
It does. It forces them to interact. It creates this undeniable tension.
Yes.
And really sets the stage for some pretty fantastic banter.
Yeah.
But it's more than just humor. It highlights how complicated their history is and those unspoken feelings that are still simmering beneath the surface.
And simmer they do, because this forced closeness actually leads to the creation of the After Dark edition of the treaty,
Oh, yes.
which basically lays out all the rules for their secret physical relationship.
So are they just falling back into old patterns, or is there something more profound developing between them?
It's a good question. All right, so we've got a complicated history, a wedding, and now a secret pact. But remember how we mentioned Hallie inherited her grandmother's house?
Right.
Well, she decides to sell it.
Oh,
And this brings up a lot of emotions for her.
yeah, makes sense. I mean, that house represents her family, her history,
It's her roots.
her roots. Exactly.
Well,
So letting go of that, it's a big deal.
and then we get a bombshell.
What?
Marcus has been secretly trying to buy that house for years.
Oh my gosh.
Every time it's gone on the market.
Really?
He even has renovation plans all drawn up.
What? So Mr. Charming is a sentimental homebody.
Who knew?
Yeah.
This really makes us rethink Marcus.
It does. It shows a depth of emotion that we didn't really see before.
Right.
And it suggests that he's been holding on to this hope of a future with Hallie.
Even if it was just a dream.
Yeah, just a little dream tucked away.
Okay, so we've got this complicated history, a wedding, a house full of memories, and now a secret pact for some after-hours fun.
It's a lot.
But buckle up, because things are about to get even wilder.
Mm.
Where do they go next?
I don't tell me.
Sin City.
Vegas.
The land of impulsive decisions and fleeting connections.
It's perfect.
The perfect setting for them to explore the physical side of their relationship.
While trying to convince themselves that it's nothing serious.
Exactly.
Of course, keeping things casual in Vegas is easier said than done.
Right. Especially when you're trying to ignore the fact that your heart might still be a little bit involved.
Or a lot involved.
Their trip is this whirlwind of steamy encounters, undeniable chemistry. But you can just feel that tension.
Yeah, that push and pull between what they want and what their past is. It's really captivating.
It's so good. And then just when you think things can't get any more complicated, we get a glimpse into Hallie's family. It's complicated. Her relationship with her parents, who are now separated, is not great.
I see. So that's a big contrast to the close bond that Marcus and Julian have. So it really shows you how important those healthy family dynamics are.
Right. And then there's this really pivotal scene where Marcus takes Hallie to visit her grandparents' grave. It's such a small gesture, but it says so much.
It does. It shows that he cares and that he wants to understand her past.
It's a turning point in their relationship.
It is. They can finally have that honest conversation about everything.
The hurt, the resentment, the what ifs.
The what ifs. It opens the door for a real connection.
But just when you think they might have a chance at working things out, there's a big wrench thrown in the mix.
What is it?
Remember that charity Marcus is involved with?
Yes.
Well, Hallie's father offers to double his donation.
Okay.
But there's a catch.
A catch. There's always a catch.
He basically tries to bribe Marcus.
What?
To get Hallie to talk to him.
Oh, no. That's not going to go well.
Classic case of good intentions gone wrong.
It really is. And it creates this huge problem for Marcus.
He's trapped between wanting to help this charity and betraying Hallie's trust.
Right. And of course, it all blows up just days before the wedding.
Of course.
Talk about terrible timing.
This betrayal, it hurts Hallie so much.
Yeah, especially because she's already so guarded.
It forces them to face those lingering shadows from their past and the fragile trusts they've been trying to rebuild.
Right. So the wedding day itself becomes this massive pressure cooker of emotions.
They're dealing with their hurt, their anger, and this pull they still feel towards each other.
Yeah. It's all coming to a head.
And in true romance novel fashion, things really come to a head on the big day with a grand gesture that changes everything.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Marcus reveals that he has Hallie's grandmother's ruby ring.
He's had it this whole time.
He was planning to give it back to her.
Wow.
This ring is more than just jewelry.
It is. It's a symbol of her family, her past.
And maybe even her future.
The fact that he's held on to it all these years just adds another layer to their already complicated relationship.
It's like he's saying, I see you, I value your past, and I want to be part of your future.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But the grand gesture doesn't stop there. He shows her the renovation plans he's made for her grandmother's house.
The house he's been trying to buy.
And he proposes they give their relationship another try.
What?
He gives her the ring and asks her to keep it and only give it back if and when she's ready to commit.
That is such a romantic gesture, but it also shows that he respects her need for agency.
Right. It's not about pressure. It's about showing her that he's in it for the long haul.
So can Hallie overcome her hurt and believe in a future with Marcus? And what about her life in Edinburgh?
So many questions.
I know.
The book ends with Hallie finding a sense of peace in the renovated attic room of her grandmother's house.
That sounds lovely.
This space blends her past and her potential future.
It's a beautiful metaphor for her journey.
But is this a happy ending or just the beginning of a new chapter?
Ooh, I love that. We're left with a sense of hope, but also uncertainty.
It's not a fairy tale.
No, it feels real.
It feels like a love story that's still being written.
And that's what keeps us turning the pages, both in fiction and in life.
But we've covered a lot already in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
So let's hear from you.
Yes.
What stood out to you so far?
What are your initial impressions of Hallie and Marcus?
What do you think about this whole house situation? Is it romantic or a little creepy?
Good question. Let us know in the comments.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. And we'll be back soon to dive even deeper into Bethman speaking.
Can't wait. You know what's really fascinating about this whole house thing? It's like the author is using it as a symbol for both Hallie's past and her potential future. It's not just like a building, you know? It's like this container of memories and family traditions and all the hopes and dreams of generations past.
Yeah, it's almost like a character itself. You know?
Yeah.
It's seen Hallie grow up and her family's good times and bad times, and now it's like ready for this new chapter.
Totally.
Just like Hallie. But the fact that Marcus has been trying to buy it this whole time,
Oh, yeah.
it adds this whole other layer of meaning, doesn't it?
It does. On one hand, it's super romantic. This idea that he's had this dream of sharing this house with her,
Right.
this place filled with her family history.
Yeah.
It shows a deep commitment and this desire to be a part of her world.
I see that. It's like he's saying, I want to be part of your whole story.
Exactly.
Not just the present, but the past and the future, too.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
some people might find it a little, well, creepy, right?
That's true.
Is it really romantic or is it kind of obsessive?
Yeah. It definitely brings up those questions about boundaries and, respecting Hallie's choices.
Right.
Should he have been so persistent knowing that she might not want the same thing for the house?
Yeah, does he want to save it for her too much?
Right. Does it cross a line?
Right. It's kind of a gray area.
It is. And I think the author wants us to think about that. Like, what do we think about romance?
Right.
What are these grand gestures?
Exactly. Is it really romantic if the other person doesn't even know about it?
Right. Where is the line between, pursuing someone and just being totally over the top?
Tough questions.
They are. But I think it's really good that the author doesn't just avoid all that.
Yeah.
She shows us that Marcus isn't perfect. He can be really loving, but he can also make some questionable choices.
Totally. It makes him more real.
Yeah. It does.
Even if we don't always agree with what he does. And that realism is what makes this book stand out.
I agree.
It's not just some light and fluffy romance.
No.
It goes into the mess of real relationships and all the mistakes we make.
The compromises we have to figure out.
Exactly. Speaking of messy situations, let's talk about Hallie's dad and his whole bribery scheme with the charity.
Oh, yeah. That was a low blow.
I mean, talk about making a bad situation worse.
Seriously. He just made everything so much more complicated.
He really did. He was so desperate to connect with Hallie that he used Marcus.
And put him in a really tough spot.
Right. And of course it backfired.
As they always do.
Totally.
Yeah.
It damaged his relationship with his daughter even more.
And messed things up for Hallie and Marcus.
Right. It just shows you that even good intentions can go wrong.
Especially when it's all about guilt and desperation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows how family problems can really affect our relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, those unresolved issues from the past, they can follow us everywhere.
They really can. But you know what's interesting?
What?
This whole mess forced Hallie and Marcus to finally talk about everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like really honestly.
Their hurt, the fear, everything.
Exactly. And they have this conversation at her grandparents' grave.
Wow.
It's like they're surrounded by the past,
Yeah.
having to face the choices they made and decide if they want to fight for a future together.
That's heavy stuff.
It is. And then we're off to Las Vegas
Vegas, baby.
for Erica's bachelorette party.
Perfect timing.
Talk about change of scenery.
Vegas is the best place for this part of the story.
Right.
It's all about escaping and doing whatever you want.
And loosening up a little bit.
Exactly.
It's the perfect place for Hallie and Marcus to, explore the physical part of their relationship.
While trying to convince themselves that it's just a fling.
Right. But we know it's not that simple.
We do. Vegas might be all about surface level fun. But for these two, it's like a pressure cooker, making them face their real feelings.
It's like they've stepped into this alternate reality
All right.
where the rules don't apply. They can just let loose and forget about everything else.
But you can't outrun your past.
Especially when it's right there in front of you.
And that's where things get really interesting.
The tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife.
They're so drawn to each other.
Yeah.
But they're terrified of getting hurt again.
And Vegas is all about instant gratification.
Fleeting connection.
Exactly. It's like they're trying to convince themselves that it's nothing serious.
But their hearts have other ideas.
Right. Their time in Vegas forces them to really think about things.
Yeah. Is it just a fling or is it something more?
And that's where we'll leave things for now.
Ooh, cliffhanger.
In the last part of our deep dive, we'll see what happens after Vegas.
The wedding. The
Mhm.
drama.
The big question.
Will they finally be together?
But before we get there, what do you think about their little Vegas adventure?
Yeah. Was it just a mistake or did it have a purpose?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
You'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Best Man Speaking. We left off with Hallie and Marcus in Vegas.
Ooh, Ibis.
It was intense. But now they're back and facing the wedding and all the fallout from her dad's interference.
Right. It's not going to be easy.
Vegas was like throwing gasoline on a fire, you know?
It really was. They had to face how strong their attraction is.
Exactly.
But it also showed how much is still unresolved between them.
Totally. And now they have to deal with real life.
Yeah, no more escaping to the desert.
It's like they got a crash course in intimacy,
Right.
but they skipped all the important stuff.
Like communication and trust.
Exactly. And that lack of communication is so obvious when they get back.
Yeah.
You could just feel the tension.
Right.
They need to talk about what happened,
Of course.
but neither one of them knows how to start.
It's that classic post-fling awkwardness
Right.
times 1,000 because they're about to be in this wedding together.
Pretending everything is fine.
But we know secrets don't stay buried forever.
Especially not with all these emotions flying around.
Exactly. And don't forget about Hallie's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to manipulate Marcus.
That really hurt her.
Of course. It made her question everything.
Right. Does Marcus really care about her?
Or is he just trying to help himself?
It's hard for her, you know?
It is. She's drawn to him, but she's scared to be vulnerable again.
So as the wedding day gets closer,
Oh.
we've got all this unresolved stuff.
Unspoken feelings, emotional baggage,
It's a recipe for disaster.
or at least some serious wedding drama.
And that's exactly what happens.
Here we go.
The wedding day is like a pressure cooker for their emotions.
And it all comes out.
There's this scene where Marcus gives his best man speech,
Oh.
but it's not what you'd expect.
What is it?
He talks about how he and Julian used to watch Olsen Twins movies as kids,
Really?
and how those movies shaped how they thought about love.
That's so interesting.
It's like he's saying he's been searching for that kind of love.
The kind that lasts.
Yeah. The kind that can forgive anything.
The kind that feels like home.
And he's saying all this in front of everyone.
That's a bold move.
It is. But it shows how much he cares.
It shows he's willing to be vulnerable.
And Hallie definitely notices.
And then there's the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
The tension is palpable.
They look at each other.
You can feel the longing.
They move together.
Like they're the only two people in the room.
But even then, they're holding back.
Afraid to take that next step.
Afraid of getting hurt again.
But something's about to change.
And then Marcus takes out the ruby ring.
No way.
Hallie's grandmother's ring.
He kept it.
He was going to give it back to her.
That's huge.
It's more than just a ring.
It represents her whole family,
Her past.
her future.
It's like he's saying, I see you, I value everything you are, and I want to be part of your life.
Wow.
But he doesn't stop there. He shows her the renovation plans for the house.
The house he's been trying to buy.
And he asks her to give them another chance.
He's really putting it all out there.
He gives her the ring and tells her to only give it back if she's ready to commit.
It's a grand gesture.
But it also shows how much he respects her.
Right. He's not pressuring her.
He's just showing her that he's serious.
So what does she do?
It's a lot to process.
Especially at a wedding.
Right. But she has to make a choice.
Stay in the past.
Or take a chance on a future with Marcus.
What a cliffhanger.
The book ends with Hallie finding peace in the attic room of her grandmother's house.
The renovated house.
It's this perfect blend of old and new.
Just like her journey.
But is it a happy ending or just a new beginning?
Good question. It's not a simple answer.
No, it's messy and complicated.
Just like real life.
And that's what makes it so good.
It makes you think.
So what resonated with you the most in Best Man Speaking? Was there a scene or character's choice that really stuck with you?
Yeah. What was your favorite moment?
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into second chances, forgiveness, and the search for love and belonging.
We love exploring these stories with you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives.
Until next time, happy reading.